Welcome to the DePaud at DePaul Hoops podcast, brought to you by Under the L. Go check out underthel.org today and get on board. Under the L is the NIL collective for your DePaul Blue Demons that aims to bring financial coaching and business services to our student athletes in all sports. Your involvement and subscription to Under the L not only has a direct effect on the talent that can be attracted to DePaul, but you also get some great membership perks, from exclusive gear to larger social events involving our student athletes. Go check out underthel.org now. The train is leaving the station. Are you on board? On today's episode of the DePaud, it's our 2023 kickoff special. We've got DePaul Athletic Director DeWayne Peevy for an interview, as well as talking about some of the fall sports that have already kicked off and that will be kicking off here shortly. So let's jump right into it.
Look to his shot.
Spins, fade away. Yes, sir. Chandler hits the three.
Oh, tough shot. Lands. Giving it up to Reed.
Welcome into the DePaud at DePaul Hoops podcast, brought to you by underthel.org. Underthel.org is your Blue Demons NIL collective, offering business, services, and financial coaching for your DePaul Blue Demons across all sports. Go check them out at underthel.org today. Different subscription levels offering different membership perks for you as well to fit whatever you can contribute. So go check out underthel.org right now and get on board. On today's episode, it's the 2023 kickoff episode of the DePaud. It's year 2. Year 1 was great. We had a lot of great guests, a lot of different things that we were able to do. We're going to do more this year. There's a lot more to come, a lot more in the works. So I'm really looking forward to bringing you all more DePaul Blue Demons content, especially in the men's and women's basketball area. A lot of exciting stuff ahead. But again, on today's episode, I've got for you an interview with DeWayne Peevy, the athletic director, and we talk all things DePaul Athletics today. Really great episode. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about fall sports already kicking off. You've got men's and women's soccer, men's and women's cross country, and volleyball. A lot of excitement coming from all of those coaches, starting with head coach of the women's soccer team, Michelle O'Brien. She's got a team that's got 14 newcomers coming in, 12 of which are freshmen, but that's not stopping them from fighting teams like Alabama really hard and then bringing home a win against a tough Samford team, 1-0 in their first week of play. Home opener today versus Green Bay at Wishfield, so get out and root on your women's soccer team, your Blue Demon women's soccer team against Green Bay at their home opener at Wishfield if you're available and on campus. Men's soccer, a lot of excitement there too. Head coach Mark Plotkin, really excited about this team, thinks that it could be one of the better teams in recent history at DePaul. They already took home the W for their home opener today with an 83rd minute goal by Callum Watts. A lot of excitement coming out of head coach Mark Plotkin's team, and get out to Wishfield and root them on as well. Cross country, women's cross country, record-setting year last year. Everyone's returning. That's always a good thing for Jeff Waiton, for head coach Jeff Waiton there. Men's cross country, a lot of newcomers, but a lot of distance runners. So there's a lot of excitement for those two squads as well. Volleyball, head coach Murray Zidek, tough opening weekend. South Dakota and Iowa State, two very good volleyball teams out there that DePaul's heading against. But there's a lot of returning players on this team, lots of experience, and that's bringing a lot of hope to get back to December volleyball and get into that Big East tournament and competing for a Big East championship. That said, make sure you're getting out and supporting these teams when you can. It's a big deal. It means a lot to these athletes. So make sure you track down the schedule for these teams, get to their home games and help create a home field and home court advantage and cheer on your Blue Demons. Switching gears now to our kickoff interview with DePaul Athletic Director DeWayne Peevy. Coming into his fourth year, we talk everything DePaul Blue Demon athletics. You name it, we talk about it. Lots of good stuff out of this interview. You guys are really going to enjoy it, so let's jump right in. All right, welcome in today, this kickoff episode of the 2023 season. DePaul Athletic Director DeWayne Peevy, thanks for taking the time to join me today.
John, always good to talk to you. Just the opportunity to talk to the fan base out there. We can't believe you just said that. 23 kickoff. Holy moly. This is my fourth school year starting. I can't believe we're here, but I'm excited about it.
I think there's a lot of buzz with different athletic from the different sports. Soccer already started.
Mm-hmm.
We had the block party, the other day. And then of course the season ticket holder event that you guys all held. So let's jump into it because that's all well and good. That's all fun, but let's get a state of the program coming into your fourth, as you said, your fourth season as DePaul Athletic Director.
Well, first, I always count the first year as kind of year zero because I didn't have fall at all. Everything was kind of shoved into winter. There was abbreviated sports. And so really when you think about it, digging deep, it's kind of year three, which as you know, whether you're doing now, I don't know if it's what year you starting.
This is
with
my second
the
year.
DePaud.
So that's...
All right. So next year, I'm expecting huge things. That year three is when things kind of really start rolling. So this is your year where you got planning, you know what you're doing. And that's kind of where we are when you're, kind of year three, think about from a Stubblefield era, Michelle O'Brien, my women's soccer coach. Those are the two coaches that I brought on since I've been here. They're all in their third school year. And that's kind of outside of COVID, kind of more feels like what normally might be your third year to place. And we're really excited. I think, all 10 of my head coaches, 15 sports in total, 215 plus student athletes, everybody feels excited. There's a lot of excitement in the building. We've already started our fall season. So even though, women's basketball is still practicing right now, men's basketball is at home for a couple of weeks. All the fall teams are here. I'm meeting with cross country here soon. So I met with all four fall teams. Everybody's really excited about the year. It just feels different. And I think because we have people in place, the structure is there, the foundation, my staff is pretty complete and what we wanted to look like to support both our head coaches and student athletes. And we started out with a win over Stanford and the women's soccer team. They're receiving votes on the road down in Birmingham, Alabama, my hometown. So we're ready to get this thing going and get started. And I think everybody feels like they're in place to make a big jump in the Big East standings. I think every coach I talk to, they feel like the things are in place. Everybody's deeper. I think we figured out everything from a roster management where last fall it was really still kind of new. You made your initial decisions, how you were handling transfer portal and in and out. This year you kind of established the direction you're going in. A lot of new faces around here, but impact newcomers, whether they're freshmen or transfers. And so I think across the board, we're really excited. It's a good buzz going on right now about, I feel like I'm telling everybody, this is our year, right? This is the time to see, some results that come from the work we've put in this post-pandemic era, right? There's been a lot of work, a lot of grinding. This is the year all that pays off.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And two, you had mentioned your staff. Talk a little bit about that because there's been, there hasn't been, in conversations that you and I had, there hasn't been marketing staff in place. There hasn't been a full roster in the office even. So how important is that to developing some of the programs for the student athletes and getting that all set and finally in place?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, if you look at it, since I first started, we've had over 40 plus new staff members. My compliance department is totally new. My marketing department, totally new. Communications department, totally new. And those are big factions of people that stay in the business a long time. And so those have a chance to really come together. Great leadership across the board with compliance, James Cullimore, Cassidy Brown leading our marketing efforts, and then Courtney Day on the communication side. They have a lot of impact with not just our students, but with the coaches too. And then we've obviously supplemented some things, whether it's in sports medicine, and sports performance, our strength and conditioning team, adding to our ticket office team with Tamar now having 2 positions, just kind of expanding our effort, so to speak. And our core is still really solid. There's a lot of people that have put a lot of time and effort and years into DePaul, and they've seen it at a better time and are really anxious. Those are the people I feel like sometimes that I'm pushing for, that has dealt with what I would call not the type of DePaul results that we deserve. They're going to be the ones that are crying even more when we win at high levels. I mean, think about it. Even our women's basketball program, I haven't seen the Bruno ball, the DePaul ball that I've witnessed prior to DePaul, right? And just ready to get that back rolling. A lot of newcomers, but the summer practices, the fall teams won, but man, just the basketball teams alone, the energy, like just smiling faces. People want to be here, focused on a common goal, hungry, humble. And I think it really plays into both the men and women's rosters that you have so many new people coming into a really established culture now, right? Obviously Coach Bruno's been here a long time, but he had a couple of new faces or more old faces coming back into to the program, with Bradley Bruno and Ashton Millender coming, back into full-time roles in the program. And then on Coach Stubblefield's side with Matt Brady and Tony Harvey, 2 new ones that are all going to play key roles in, taking advantage of the new NCAA guidelines that are allowing 2 additional people to be on the floor. You got to be very intentional, in my opinion, who those people are, because with the transfer portal, we're re-recruiting constantly, right? You're talking to more parents and AAU and high school coaches throughout the year, but you also have to figure out how you have more time individually with these students, because you always got to gauge where they are, not just assume because of what they're doing on the court, they're happy. One last thing, I see these rosters right now, and we're using 13 of our 15 scholarships on the women's side. I see that's going to be a trend, that you're not going to see many teams using 15 scholarships, because how do you keep 15 young ladies happy? There's only one ball. And on the men's side, we're at 13 right now, but you're going to see more and more teams in that 10, 11 spot. I just feel like it's just too hard. I mean, think about it. You put together a team of summer ball right now. You're not carrying 13 people that's going to be happy. Like, how do you play enough? But, you got to have depth, got to have the right people. And I think that was the big thing for us. We needed another big. We got another 5 on our roster on the men's side. I think that was more important than it was to get to 13. It was who the 13 is, right? We probably got some things that we got a little more depth that's got to work itself out, because we don't have anybody that should feel like, hey, I know I'm playing 30 minutes a game. It's a lot of competition. I just love what I'm seeing from both teams, from a collectiveness, sharing, making each other better. I think you'll see a much better offensive team on the women's side and a much better defensive team on the men's side. That's the shift I see just from the personnel itself.
No, I the way the roster has been built on both sides has been really interesting to me, and we'll get to that a little bit down the road here. But let's shift gears a little bit to more of the marketing talk and things like that. So last year we saw some throwback jerseys in the basketball arena. We saw soccer. They had the big scarves, the DePaul scarves. What can Blue Demon fans expect this year as far as from a promotional perspective?
Well, the throwback jerseys will be back. I think that's going to be an annual occurrence. We're going to have at least a throwback game. You can wear the throwback jerseys more games. It's not going to be something that we do for a whole year. That takes a Nike kind of intervention that takes a lot longer to have the type of material that can last all year or multiple seasons. These throwback jerseys, they're really good, but they're not meant for us to replace anything. But we're going to at least have a throwback day, Billy Blue Demon throwback game, so to speak. That'll be an annual occurrence. That's the plan. But we're also looking at some other things with the uniform piece that, I won't let out today. But we got some other plans in that space because I think that's a popular thing. It works well with the student athletes. Obviously Stubbs comes from Oregon where they had like 14 different combinations. So I'm pretty sure he's on board with that. But we're going to start looking into that space a little bit. We're trying to get some kind of legend jersey series where we actually make some available kind of throwback jerseys for some of our past alums on both the men and women's side. And then we're also going to be trying to launch You're Ready to Buy, in the NIL store. I think they're working on trying to get, player jerseys for this year too. So it's a good jersey year. If you're a jersey person, you don't have your DePaul jerseys, whether it's something new or something old, this is your year. Like you've been waiting. We've been putting in the time and effort. That's one of the things that I hit right away when we hired Lindsey Martin, our associate AD for merchandise and licensing, that we got to work on. That's some time. There's some lead time on that stuff. This is the fall quarter. This winter is when you'll have the chance to buy some DePaul jerseys, whether it's with one of our current student athletes' name on the back, or maybe a former student athlete, or something that we're wearing on the court currently. Those would be some really good options.
Great. I think there's going to be a lot of fans out there that are excited to hear that. You see every once in a while, you see a couple throwback 99 jerseys out in the stands every once in a while, some from time to time. So shifting gears.
We're also going to have before you move on. We're also going to have we're going to bring back the Traditions tailgate. I don't know if you saw it last year, right before when school started. We did out on Wishfield, Cacciatore Stadium. We invited all our new students on campus to teach them all the DePaul cheers, let all our coaches talk. We're going to do that again. So I'm looking forward to that, because when we did it last year, I didn't know what we were trying to do, but I saw tons of students just lined up. They're coming into Wishfield, and it was so awesome. But now, knowing the anticipation is there now. So we got move-in days are starting these weekends now, leading up to it. And I think, that's going to be kind of kicking off our fall quarter a little bit.
That'll be great. I think that has a lot to do with building that tradition, building that culture of DePaul pride, Blue Demon pride. So let's talk about the women's team celebrating 50 years this year.
Okay.
What can we expect on the court from the team with the team that Coach Bruno has? I know you touched on it a little bit, but let's dive in a little bit more with that as far as who he's added, and then, of course, to the importance of celebrating the 50 years of the women's basketball program here at DePaul.
Yeah. So I know our marketing and communications team, they'll definitely tell me to stress 50 seasons.
Sorry. Yeah.
So because basketball goes over 2 years. So from 74 on, it's 50 seasons and that we're celebrating. So you've seen a lot of stuff out there. It's been really cool for me, just kind of seeing some of the history, some of our former student athletes and their success, especially in a program that's been in NCAA tournaments year after year, and just some of the moments and some of the numbers that some of these student athletes have put up has been pretty nice. Looking forward to some of the fundraising opportunities that we can center around it to really promote, to help supplement some of our monies for our women's athletics programs, especially women's basketball. I think it's a good time to jump into that after the Title IX celebrations that we did a year ago. I think the biggest thing is that with this team, I think Coach Bruno has always strived, not necessarily have a team that led the country in scoring, which always a lot of times happens, is leading the nation in assists, right? Not a lot of me ball. And so we've done that a little bit in my time here. I've seen those elements where we were there at one and maybe we didn't hold on, but seeing how good we looked offensively. I think every year we've shown the best version of ourselves. We just weren't able to maintain that. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, is that obviously it's summer. You're going up against yourself in a league that's so much better on the women's side than when I walked in the door, right? There's a lot of competition, and it's not just UConn, right? We've had as many as 5 teams in the tournament. And so it's just a different Big East that we're probably not the teams that we're not easily in the top 5 like they used to be, right? And so I think, one, it's got us fired up. I think we got a lot of shooting. I call talented basketball players, in my opinion, just in my time, is people that can pass, dribble, and shoot, right? You want as many of those people because you can do a lot of things with people that cannot just shoot the ball, cannot just over dribble, but pass, dribble, and shoot, because you got a positionless team that's hard to guard. And I think that's the thing that I'm seeing, a lot of energy. We actually have a true center this year. With having we got two UCLA transfers. That's pretty unique. One on the men's side, one on the women's side, that are key components that we didn't have for a while. With Brian, having someone 6'3", what does that element add? I haven't seen that. But getting back to what I would assume more of a Bruno ball. He might not tell you that, but getting to where we get to a point, we have the depth. We talk about the men's injuries. The women haven't had a full complement on their roster in my time at all either. And so just getting back to the depth of it and having enough bodies to press to be able to get to your style of play, but also seeing just the shared element offensively. We played without a point guard for most of the year last year. And all the people that we thought would be our top two were gone, never played, or were gone early. And so I think those are the things that are really hard. But I think he's excited. I love seeing Doug excited, right? He'll come in and we'll just chop it up in the office, or go, just catch him in the hallway. I could tell he's enjoying coaching this team, right? Obviously a great group of young ladies. And the only reason I'm kind of glowing about it is because when you have so many new faces in, you just don't know how that goes. In the summertime, the time to build that. We have a challenging schedule once again. They're playing in Bahamas. They're playing at Miami on the return game. We go to Louisville. I mean, shoot, they got enough, stuff from a schedule mind that's away from home to challenge us, and you're in a great league. And so this is one of the interesting things for the fans that haven't been tracking. This will be the first year that we are not playing a full round robin schedule for women's basketball in the Big East. They've reduced from 20 games to 18. And so that'll be something to look out for, is when the Big East schedule comes, there'll be two teams that we don't play twice. And so that's something new in our new Big East. Some of the women's basketball wanted to be able to have just more opportunity to be able to, play some other opponents. We're not doing that on the men's side. We decided to stay at 20 on the men's side and 18 on the women. So this will be the first year of that. But I think it's an opportunity. I think we'll be challenged. I expect us to probably be preseason Big East, where we're picked in the middle of the pack. And then our choice is like, let's get back to postseason. Let's start another streak. Let's get back in this NCAA tournament and get back to what everybody's used to. And I want to really get to a point where we're packing out that lower bowl with fans for our women's team that really deserves it. And so, we've been partnering with the Sky on some different initiatives. There's some things you can do in women's basketball marketing-wise you can't even do on the men's side, that we're just trying to take advantage of. How do we build that family fan base that we've had maybe in Lincoln Park? We're going to probably have a few more events here. How do we move them out to Wintrust and add to it?
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool, really exciting. I didn't realize that you could do some stuff marketing-wise cross with the WNBA.
Yeah, they don't let us interact with the NBA teams as much on the men's side. I think just for maybe some more tampering type reasons. I think from the women's side is really how we grow the game. And so there's just some things that we can do, cross promotions, that we can't do on the men's side.
Talking a little bit about growing the game with from the women's side, it's pretty cool. They're going to be playing an exhibition game against Caitlin Clark in Iowa at Kinnick Stadium. Yeah. How did that come about? How did DePaul get drawn into that?
Well, the first thing is that we played Iowa last year in a close scrimmage at McGrath Phillips Arena here in Lincoln Park, right? I'm talking about, I think we lost in a 4-point game. That's how good we were at preseason, going into pre-injury, with both point guards and everybody else on the team. We felt really good. So I think it was maybe 3 people in the audience, maybe me, our SWA, Jill Hollenbeek, and the President Manuel that were watching. So now we're going to try to really increase the attendance versus the 3 people, to maybe setting a record for women's basketball attendance. So I think it started that we were going to return the game, obviously, and those closed scrimmages that you can, we both administrations wrote a letter to the NCAA for an appeal to be able to play, a public exhibition or scrimmage game against a Division I opponent for a charitable cause. And so I wrote my version. Iowa did too, and obviously a great cause for the Children's Hospital that you hear so much about from the football games, where everybody's waving at the kids. But hopefully the weather cooperates. But obviously a very popular program, great program with a great player amongst a great team coming back. A lot of interest for it. Great for DePaul. Obviously we're all in. This is right up my alley of something we wanted to do, but it really started with, hey, would you be interested between the coaches, after knowing that we were going to have to return the game? We just went to Texas last year, I think helped too, and it was a charity element, but not bigger stage. It was in their new place. And maybe, so we knew that we were willing to do a public scrimmage. Some teams don't want to do that at all. And so really came into play. So obviously tickets went fast. By the time we got to the public, we're carving out as many as we can, try to take care of some of our sponsors and donors. But I think it's a great event for women's basketball in general, and looking forward to packing the place and making a great showing for our fans too.
That's awesome. Really exciting. Cool to be on that kind of stage and do something like that. That said, you mentioned, getting back to the tournament. What is your expectation for success this season with Coach Bruno and the women's team?
I mean, definitely. I mean, he wouldn't even hesitate to tell you about postseason, getting back to the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's who we are. I got a chance to taste it, being in the first four. Obviously, the last time we were there, NIT. No knock against that, but our program's built on. I want to get back to where the floor is getting in the NCAA tournament, and we're talking about what do we got to do to host. And we got to take our first step of getting back in that tournament in a league that deserves to be considered from 5 to 7 bids a year, right? You've got really good programs. We'll have the non-conference schedule that Doug always plays is not going to change. Couple that with success in our league, we'll be right there. The formula's there. I mean, even last year, as much trouble as we had, we were a shot away at UConn and Villanova, two really good teams in our league that went on to great success of being in it last year, even with all the trouble. I would say at one point, it was after maybe St. John's that I really saw the power of having a Hall of Fame coach like Coach Bruno. And, okay, taking what we are, all right, we've got to figure out how do we get the best version of this team that we are right now and make this run that gave us the opportunity to be a shot away from beating two of the best teams in our league, but also playing a different style of basketball that was fun. And we obviously won more games. And we went into that Big East tournament thinking like, there's nothing stopping us from going in and winning this thing. We had Villanova beat in the tournament too, if we make the free throws at the end. And who knows? You put us in, we take another step and we make it to the championship. We were hot, playing our best basketball at the end of the year. The too many things hurt us along the way, because if you really look back to last year, we had some really good wins, beating some teams. It was just the losses that were coupled with those that hurt us in the very end. And so I think we're just looking back. We play enough schedule. The plan is out there in front of us. The league is good enough to where we know it's going to be a multi-bid league with several teams having a chance to not only make the tournament but advance. And this is the league that we want to be a part of always when we were, battling for the top. Now it's in place. Let's really enjoy and get back to where we belong, getting to that, semifinals and finals and go to a chance to win Big East championships. That's what DePaul ball is all about.
That sounds good. I think the bar is set, and we know what the target is. Let's shift gears back to the men's roster, the men's team. A lot of turnover, not outside the norm though these days in college basketball. But we do have a lot of returning players in key spots. Mm-hmm. What's your assessment of how the rosters come together this offseason?
It's been an interesting couple of years, right? Even the story that leads up to it. If you think about, I don't want to go back, but 2 years ago, making a hire in April and transfers here here and there and putting together a roster. When you think about what we had coming back, we had Javon Freeman-Liberty and Davy Jones, Nick Ogenda, some key guys that were returning. But they were able to get a lot of grad transfers, senior transfers, Brandon Johnson that year, from Minnesota, bringing in Philmon from junior college. Tyon Grant Foster, a lot of people forget about, what a big recruit that was, getting him from Kansas to come in. And Jalen Terry coming over from Oregon. I know, not necessarily trying to forget these guys, but just how you made up a roster at a bit of time, really looking back at that team, we had a pretty good team. And then we were able to get David Johnson late and get him in at the quarter break. We had the makings of a pretty good team, especially thinking about we won 5 of our last 10 games. Javen barely played enough to lead us, I think, in scoring, maybe a UConn loss, and then was out. Javon Freeman-Liberty missed all those games with the groin injury in the middle of it, leading scorer in the Big East. And for us to finish strong enough to have that opportunity, you felt, okay, man, people felt good at the end of the year. I remember that feeling because they knew we had been through so much. Then you go into that second year, we lose Javon Freeman-Liberty. We lose Davy Jones, right? And so, Brandon moves on, but we got Javen Johnson back for a full year. We add Mo Gibson. You add Errol Penn. We end up finding Deshaun Nelson at junior college. But you had your centers with Yor and Nick. You're good. You bring in Caleb Murphy to couple with Jalen Terry. All right, this thing is starting to come together. And then we get to the right beginning of the season. It's like, what the heck just happened? We lost Nick. We lost Caleb. Jalen breaks his nose. Yours got a foot ailment. And then you realize those 4 guys that had ailments day one are the ones that end up missing a good chunk, all missing 9, 10 or more games. And then your 2 point guards and 2 centers, right? And then just a different element of the season coupled around some guys. We got 4 guys right now off that team that are playing pro ball, right? So the talent was there. Really frustrating, it's the peaks we had of, beating Villanova, beating Xavier, and then going on such a long losing streak, but then getting it to come together and having something to cheer about at the end of the year. But then you got to start over again, right? I mean, that's just the dynamic. So I think approach this year is a little different. We only have 1 grad transfer in Chico Carter. We have a lot of people that are coming in, kind of like a little bit of Jalen, where you come in for a sophomore year, with Elijah doing that, with Jaden Henley doing that, getting a veteran guy like Jeremiah Odom, just played 3 years of ball at Wyoming, an NCAA tournament team a couple years back, got to play on and seeing it. Guy from Chicago, understand what it means. You always got to have a Chicago guy, if not more, on your team. I really, they've looked really well. Keandre Young has really grown. I mean, he's about as tall as Jeremiah now, athletic. And that was our only fall signee. But then really just looking at kind of the depth of it, we were so much deeper. We needed that big, having both Lodgy and Churchill coming from NBA Africa, the only 2 freshmen on the team, and then adding Mac at the end to just really make us feel a little balanced. Can't wait to see him here. I missed his visit. I was out of town, but really talking to Stubbs about having a chance to bring him in right up before the dead period and getting him in place. We felt pretty good about that. Possibility. It wasn't something that we were keeping coy from you guys forever, but we knew that was some of the options that might be there because he's been in the portal a while, but the situation was changing at UCLA. That was in our favor. But really, just like I said before, it's not about, we have 13, but it's really about, okay, you kind of want 10 for sure. You need about 2 at everything. It's like going on Noah's Ark or something. We need to be fairs, right? And then everything else can be gravy. Can you go get like somebody that's better than everybody or supplement? I love the fact that we have interchangeable parts. I know they're missing every person. There's not no Naka who's, made plays, but there's a lot of interchangeable parts, and it's gonna be a lot of competition. I think we're long, we're more athletic. We're probably more defensive oriented just from looking at the roster makeup than last year's team. I mean, outside of Jalen Terry, everybody's like much bigger, right? We're playing Mo a bunch of minutes, Javen having to play out of position along with Deshaun and Eral a little bit. It just really put our defense. We had to outscore you to beat you, most times. And so defense leads to easy baskets on the offensive end, and having a chance to where I'm looking forward to seeing Deshaun Nelson actually going against fours,
yeah, instead of playing fives,
versus fives all year,
and
right?
two, everyone will be a little bit more refreshed for the end of the game too. If not, if people are splitting minutes a little bit differently, I think that you saw that kind of in that Seton Hall game where we had almost a full roster, and
we had a full week of practice with everybody for the first time all year, right? At the end of the year. And I honestly felt like, we could beat anybody, right? In a league that the national champion lost in the tournament, right? So I think probably the last thing I'll say about some of the roster makeup, I feel like one of the things you almost got to look at is not just, the people that came back toward the end of the year because, obviously Nick is left and yours gone. Caleb having a full summer, but really the underrated thing is Jalen Terry. Him knowing the offense the most coming in because he had been at Oregon with Stubbs, being the steady person, wasn't himself at the beginning of the year, and then end up with a knee contusion and being out that week when we played Duquesne and Northwestern, and then being out with mono and missing all that time, end up coming back sick, right in the heart of all the losing streak. We didn't have him. And think about it, if we don't have him at the end of Seton Hall, we're not winning that. We don't win that game. I mean, just a steady person who makes big plays, always willing to take the big shot. Think about that first year with all those guys. I mean, the big games against Xavier and other games, he's a guy that's capable of going out there and put up 20 a couple different nights in the year. I think we missed him, and nobody really talked about that much because it was more about Caleb being out, and obviously Nick because they had such big injuries, and you're just trying to play hurt early and then finally sitting out enough to come back. And so I think now it's really, injuries are a part of it. That's not making excuses. But when you're trying to build something from the bottom, man, it sucks because you don't have as much wiggle room. You don't have as many things that can go wrong. So you build it up and you get to a point where, like, hey, you got a program in place where next man up, we go. We've got another 4-star on the bench that's not playing and you plug them in. We just weren't there yet. And so now we're trying to build our quality of depth. And there's a lot of competition that's going to come from that. Just like the women's side, guys are excited. They're challenging each other. They're, pairing up, coming to the gym to put in work. We've been able to split up some of our hours where some of our coaches can work with them individually too to work on some of that to maximize our summertime. That'll be fun when we get to 20 hours, here when they come back at some point, later on in the fall quarter, because we've been really doing it with more 8 hours and being able to get a lot of work in. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I mean, it's hard because you're playing against yourselves, right? This league is good. I'm watching the transfer portal and seeing who's on rosters and making my own predictions too. But the key to me, John, is for us to make the step we need to make, you got to look at the bottom, whatever becomes the bottom 4 of the Big East. What did you do against them?
Absolutely. And
that determines if you're going to be a top half team. I'm not aiming to be middle of the pack. I want to win a championship, but you got to start taking steps toward that, right? We got to take a step forward before we start talking about winning the Big East. Yeah, everything's possible right now, but taking a step forward, because if we're in the middle pack in this league, you're around the top 25. You're an NCAA tournament team. That's why that's important. How do we get there? But you got to beat the bottom 4 to consider yourselves going to be in that top, 6 to 7 teams to be even be talking about postseason. Last year in the bottom 4 teams that we could play, we went 1-7, right? It's going to make it hard. I mean, Seton Hall is a perfect example. We went 10-10, a team we went toe-to-toe with in the Big East tournament and won on a block shot. And I don't think, they didn't, they felt like they had a better year, but they went 8-0 against the bottom four, right? You beat the teams you're supposed to beat if you're that team. If you're middle of the pack in this league, you better beat the teams that are behind you, because otherwise you're not there, right? And I think that's what last year was the difference for us. We let a couple games get away at home, with St. John's and Butler. Those all are opportunities to win on the road too. And that's got to be the jump we make. If we want to be a team that plays on Friday in the Big East tournament for the first time in school history, then we got to be the team that's capable of beating the teams that we hope to show that we're better than that. The good thing about our league, we don't even know who those bottom four are right now, right? But as the season plays out and you look at the bottom four, we'll have this conversation again. How do we do, right? That's going to dictate whether you can be a postseason team in this.
No,
league.
Absolutely. So the bar or the target then for this season for Coach Stubbs and this team, what is it for you? What's success look like?
Well, from day one, when Coach Stubbs and I decided we're going to come together and do this, it's about getting DePaul back in the NCAA tournament. To me, nothing less than that is success. That's what we drive for. That's what we get paid to do. We are brought here to get us back in the NCAA tournament. Now, there's steps to that. That's not saying it's failure, but that's success to me, right? Now, obviously, I want to get back to a winning record. I want to get in the postseason of any kind, because that gets us closer to that goal. But we have gone into every year trying to put a roster together, trying to put the things in place for the goal of being in the NCAA tournament that year. Thinking about, if things didn't go that way, I know I'm with blue demon glasses. I think we're a lot closer from a talent standpoint of being on the fringe of that, being a postseason team if we were healthy, with an opportunity to win close games that can make the difference of whether you can be in the NCAA tournament or not. So if we're really realistic from a roster there, my hope is that we got the same opportunities here now. Obviously, we don't have the guy that you think everybody's going to know that's going to come in and average 15 to 20 a game already. But we got some unproven guys that have played some quality basketball in major conferences that understand it. I wouldn't be surprised you're going to see a couple of Big East caliber players that come out of this group. I love the fact that there were some very talented high school players that just the situations they were in, they haven't really been given the opportunity to be that guy either. And so we're providing that. That's the draw. That's the recruit pitch. Come here, be a part of the best conference in America. Be a vital contributor to that team at a young age. Or if you didn't get that opportunity, step up to this stage and get a chance to make big shots and big moments. That's what I was telling the people about Paul Reed and Max Strus. That tournament run they made, they both had opportunities, whether it was Paul filling in for an injured Joel Embiid, and people like, where does this come from? Well, he played in the Big East in moments like this consistently. He was ready for that stage. Max Strus is ready to take the game-winning shot because he's done that. You can go to the best school in America and never get that opportunity while you're in college. I spent 12 years at Kentucky. There were guys that were lottery picks that never got a chance to be in that moment in college. You're going to get that here at DePaul in a league that translates and you can be a pro, right? That's the difference of why you do this. You got to have the one thing that a coach and a program can keep from you, no matter how much you work, is the ball in your hands and the opportunity to be in that moment. We're providing that. And that's why it's attracted to some young men that we have in this program right now. I'm excited about it because there's some stone competitors in there. Like they go at each other. And it's fun to watch because they know it's work. They're going to make each other better. Our other guys that are returning, they're playing better. And I'm anxious to see, I think we're going to work on having a student practice for just the students here on campus. We're going to bring back the blue-red scrimmage, blue-red scrimmage, so we can do something for our fans here in Lincoln Park. And then we're looking forward to bringing our Blue Madness back. I know last year we were trying a temporary court. We rained out. We had to move it into McGrath-Phillips. We're going to bring that idea back. I'm actually talking to the Cubs about something in the future, doing it out there on DePaul Day and, maybe Gallagher Way. I'm thinking about the next year already, right? And so I'm excited about the year, Wintrust. We had some, to end up with a season that both teams that make postseason, we set new records in attendance and had increases, right? So it gives me some optimism and we can deliver to our fans to return on the investment they're making in us. We have even more room for growth. And so I think we got the people in place. Season ticket sales, I think for men's basketball, we're already at about 95% renewal. Women's basketball just kind of got launched recently. Looking forward to how do we get new season ticket holders. I think we're maybe a pair of front row courtside seats away from selling out the courtside front row for men's basketball. Those are exciting things. And so those are the challenges I see in front of me, how I can impact this program. And obviously we've got to get our NIL under order under the L.org for people that want to subscribe. I mean, I think this is an opportunity. When have you, as a fan, had an opportunity to feel like, I mean, we do donations and it's for budgets and program growth and bricks and mortar, and those things are always impactful. But the common fan has always felt like, how do I help with that, right? You're looking for the major donor and all that. This is for you. NIL's for you. You can make huge impact. I mean, $25 a month up to $1,000 a month based on, what your discretionary income can be, but can have real impact into the program you love and can translate to like, I'm a part of to directly impact the success of what's going on, because we want these student athletes to have the full student athlete experience that they can have here at DePaul and want to be here and see it as an opportunity. And that's how we grow, right? And so whatever you can give, that under the L.org, that's under the letter L.org, it can help. I mean, it really does help. And it's something that every parent asks me about. I'm not getting asked every day just, about safety or academics. We talk about it all, but it's not as much focus as follow-up questions as it is about how does your NIL opportunities work? What are you teaching them in financial literacy? How engaged is your fan base or your donors as far as merchandise sales? I had to talk about our media market in the Lincoln Park community in Chicago. Those are elements that people are asking about when they're trying to pick a school. And so we want to be able to talk about how many subscribers we have at some point, just like we talk about season ticket holders, right? I mean, there's a lot. The marketing and the buy-in is what we're really investing in. Obviously, we still got a ways to go with facilities, what we're doing for budgets and our growth. Those are things that I can partner with campus and others. But for, Joe Fan, what can I do to help? Man, even if it's $25 a month, with the Under the L fund, that makes a difference. Those dollars add up, especially when you're talking about you go from 5 people to 50 to 500 of them. That really makes a difference still for us. And that's the one thing I love is there's a lot of dollars out there in that world, and you're like, man, that's what it matters. No, $500 by a marketing deal or $2,500, from some company is huge. But like $25 a month or $100 a month, that is unbelievably amazing help, because that becomes recurring dollars with more people. And our goal is, how do we continue to, to give that return on the investment so people want to keep buying in. And our fans, they're frustrated. It is my job to be the antidote to that frustration, right? So I want to hear it. I want to know what keeps you up at night, because I can only imagine. I've only been here 3 years. September 1 will be my anniversary. I can only imagine. I despise mediocrity. Like, I can't stand it. Don't want to be around it. And so, like, we've got to do our part. I don't care what happens. We got to overcome obstacles. Adversity comes, injuries, what have you. They're not excuses. They're just the reality of it. But how do we learn from it, right? How do we build depth in? How do we expect things to happen and have a better plan for how we're going to deal with it? And I'm just really excited about this fall quarter getting us started, the winter to come, the spring sports. This is our year, John. And so I can't, 2023 is not over yet. It's still our Jordan year. We got to take advantage of this. And it's Chicago. We're Chicago's team. This is supposed to be our year. It's 2023.
It'll be a good one, I'm sure. We'll wrap up here with one last thing. I want to follow up on the jersey retirement group that you guys had put together. Where is that at? Has there been any development in that? And can you jump into a little bit of that for us?
I actually have a meeting this Wednesday. That's on jersey retirement. What's the next steps? I think our goal is still be able to get to our first new one as early as this season. And so hopefully get that ball rolling. Hall of Fame committee was obviously you have a chance to be a part of. Maybe you know more than me. No, we're going to announce a new Hall of Fame class this week. And so looking forward to, adding to the long list of celebrated alums and unbelievable athletic accomplishments we've had. So I got a chance to call 6 individuals and tell them that they're part of the DePaul Athletics Hall of Fame. And so I can't wait for you guys to know who the new class is and sharing some of those moments that we were able to capture on
awesome.
video.
That'll be great. We're all looking forward to that, I'm sure. Thanks again for joining me. We're looking forward to a great season, and we'll talk soon.
I like the fact that you said early on in this, the party. Maybe that's what we do at the end of the year. We started out the block party, but then we're going to do the real party. So,
that's awesome.
But that'll be fun. But looking forward to it. Thanks as always, John, just to be able to chat. Obviously, anytime, I'm available on social media. I'm about as transparent as I can be, at Blue Demons AD. If you got any questions, I'll try to hit you back. But it's good to talk to the fans along with you, John.
I appreciate
too, as well.
it, and I know the fans do as well. So thanks again, DeWayne. Talk to you. It's always great to have DeWayne on. Really appreciate him taking the time to join me and the rest of the Blue Demon Nation to talk about some of the initiatives that they've been working on, some of the different projects that are coming down the pipe, and then, too, his expectations for men's and women's basketball this season. A lot of what the focus has been on with this athletic department as a whole has been the exposure, the expansion of the brand, the Blue Demon brand, DePaul brand, and no better way to see the fruits of that than this new marquee network deal that was signed a couple days ago. Getting DePaul Athletics into over 3.5 million homes in the region as well as nationally through streaming with the marquee network is massive. It means a lot for the whole university. It means a lot for DePaul Athletics, and it means a lot for these athletes that are competing with DePaul across their chest to have that kind of exposure. Some of these people, their families are spread throughout the country, so now they could watch those games through a stream. Now that DePaul has the streaming deal with Marquee Network, and to see how this grows as well over the course of the relationship is going to be very interesting. So really excited. Congratulations to those in the athletic department that worked on this. It's a really great thing for DePaul Athletics as a whole, DePaul fans as a whole. So again, congratulations on that. Way to go. Way to get that done. Before I let you all go, I wanted to take the time to congratulate the 2023 inductees to the DePaul Hall of Fame: Sarah Martz from softball, Sammy Mejia from men's basketball, Cara Smith from women's basketball, Juliana Sitch from women's soccer, Aaron Moffitt from cross country, and Brad Millar from track and field, and he was a hammer thrower. So congratulations to you all. Looking forward to celebrating you all. We're going to have another episode when the induction ceremony is announced, and we'll celebrate you all even more then. So congratulations again, and look forward to it. Thanks again for joining me. I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. I can't wait to bring you all more this year, more content. I'll be back next week. We'll do a deeper dive into men's and women's basketball, amongst some other things as well. So until next time, go Blue Demons.